Hello, Tabitha, my friend. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you because you're incredibly busy. So thank you for taking like this time with me to help pet parents to learn more about their kitties. So thank you.
Of course. It's always a pleasure to see you. And if anyone's like, especially if Lisa is like, do you want to talk about cats? I'm like, yes, we're in. I will make it happen. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, okay, I know you. I know you're world famous. I know how incredible you are, but people don't know you. So give me a couple of, bullet points on who you are and what you do.
So my name is Tabitha Kucera. I am a registered vet tech. I am a vet tech specialist in behavior. I'm a certified cat behavior consultant and a Karen Pryor Academy certified training partner. I like learning and you should too. And I own a cat and dog behavior consulting business that also does consulting with veterinarian and shelter organizations called Chirps and Chatter. I work with Fear Free. I'm also elite Fear Free and low stress handling certified. And I'm a huge advocate for dogs, but also for cats, all things cats, cat training, cooperative care with cats, low stress vet visits, which is a special place in both me and Lisa's hearts. And I do all I can to create educational content, to share resources, to spread the love of animals everywhere and help pet parents because they want the best. But it can be challenging to find that information sometimes.
It can be, but I have a link tree where I have all my curated cat resources, and you're right there because you also have those infographics, right? That to me are so easy to understand. Like I would rather look at a picture a lot of times or cartoons, especially of animals, like graphic drawings, and that helps me understand things. I can pass that off to clients. So yes, you have so many really good resources on your website for sure. Yeah, and
Thank
on your
you.
Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I love nerding out about behavior and we could go down super fun rabbit holes, but I think sometimes as professionals we can make things a little too complex. And I'm all about easy to digest
Mhm.
for everybody, whether you're new to cats, new to behavior in the vet world, just a cat lover. And that's really my goal with these like one page, colorful, lots of photos, bullet points that you can read and not become overwhelmed. Because we've all been that person that got a handout and I love reading, but I'm like, this is like a textbook and I am
Yeah.
already tired.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you 100%. And you are a cat lover. I mean, anyone who follows you on social media or goes to your website, cats are prominent. There's a cat tree right behind you. And, any of us, you and I both, that treat cats that have behavior problems know that they can be trained. We can teach them. But when I talk to clients about teaching cats, it's not that they're resistant. I think that they are gobsmacked. They're in disbelief. It's like I just told them, no, there is another moon. The earth has two. You just didn't know there were two, right? So, how do you approach this with pet parents? How do you teach them that, yeah, we can do this? It's doable.
You are correct. Unfortunately, because cats and dogs learn very similar. Of course, every animal is an individual. So you gear your training towards that specific animal and meet their needs and set them up for success. But when it comes to, because I'm a huge clicker trainer, when it comes to training cats and dogs, it's essentially very similar. And I do use a lot of clicker training and other types of marker training with my behavior consults and my clients. And usually I don't start with that. We start with managements, environmental modifications, meeting the cat's needs, ruling out and addressing medical issues because that's so common. But then once we start adding in the clicker training, I actually at the initial consult or the follow-up session, I start training their cat as I'm talking to them and getting a history. So similar to what I did in vet med when we would be in a room and getting the history and whether it's a puppy or a cat, and then within 2 minutes their cat is consistently sitting or touching a target, and already I have buy-in without actually having to say we're going to
Yeah.
do this. They're just like they always, I'm all about helping them get there and not me telling them. So they're like, oh, she's consistently sitting, she's so smart. I'm like, yes she is, and we're going to talk about how you can do this, and then we kind of go from there. Or there have been some circumstances where people were maybe a little more hesitant, and I actually have videos of me training cows and fish, and I'll share those with them, and then they're just like, oh, a cat, I got you. So again, I don't have to do that second one a lot, but I'm like, here's me training a goldfish, and I share a video, and they're like, and also it does get them more buy-in for me as a professional, which is nice too.
Yeah. Yeah. So the proof is right in front of you. Your cat is trainable. But as a cat pet parent, as a veterinary behaviorist, the way that I train my cat is different than the way that I train my dog, in the sense of like learning theory, from earthworms to elephants. Learning theory is the same. That's what I tell people. It's the same, right? But my approach might be different for a Moluccan cockatoo versus for a Siamese versus for a box turtle versus for a Labrador retriever. So can you, the big distinction, right, is cats versus dogs. So can you tell me how you feel the approach to training is different for cats than it might be for dogs?
I think, because again, like you said, that foundation is similar. I think a lot of cats, especially due to lack of kitten kindergarten and socialization, and unfortunately, more cats don't have access to that or experiences with that than dogs do. So sometimes before we even add a marker, I just need to build a relationship with that cat. As in, because not all cats are going to be like, hi, Tabitha, let's go. I'm comfortable being in front of you. I'm in a place where I can think and focus in front of a weird stranger. It's not personal. So usually to start, honestly, I work with the client and I ask them, what are your cat's 3 favorite things? Which may be, and I tell them that may be tuna, that may be petting, that may be brushing. Because as we know, right, you ask the animal to do something, or you see them do something, and then you reinforce it with something that's reinforcing to said animal. And in many cases, the cats I work with, due to medical issues or fear or stress, they aren't necessarily eating everything. So I think one of the first steps, because with dogs, clients are like, my dog likes this, this, this. With cats, I've recognized that a lot of caregivers aren't necessarily aware right off the top of their head what's reinforcing to their cat. And if we don't have that to start with, we can't clicker train. So that's usually what we start with. And then we start with just some capturing, which is just capturing the behavior the animal does naturally. So like I might mark and treat every time they look at me from a distance for 1 second. So I do feel like with cats, sometimes you have to break it down even more due to that fear and stress that, again, we see in dogs. Many of my dog caregiver or dogs are like that I work with. But I think with cats, so many of them, they naturally hide due to fear. And a lot of cats don't have a lot of experience with strangers and walking outside on a harness. So I think it's not necessarily as quick. And then also, I always keep my sessions short, 1 to 2 minutes for a new dog that I'm training, or a cat. But with a cat, I usually start with about a minute, and I make sure that I have very, very small treats, because as you can imagine, their bellies are about the size of a ping pong ball. So just like with a fish, I might get 2 repetitions. So with a cat, even though my cat, now that he has a learning history of clicker training for a very long time, we can train for 30 minutes with breaks, of course. But I think starting for a minute, finding reinforcers the cat likes, and then realizing, hey, we have this temptation. We can easily break this into 3 pieces. And maybe start with, I'll usually have my clients start with 5 to 7 reps at the beginning. Like, hey, can you do 5 to 7 reps of this behavior 3 times a week? And caregivers are like, I don't want you to train for hours. They're like, I'm like, can you give me a minute or 2? And they're just like, yes. And I'm like, yay, positive reinforcement training for the win.
Yeah, so I love that.